Hodge to win a one-on-one against Schofield. Puopolo got a high tackle. Back to Hodge. That's a goal, I think. It is. Hodge has done it from nowhere. He could have done it. The first team in the 18-team competition to go back to back to back. They're three Peters.
Collingwood by a point. Lockyer brings it in. Ryder sandwich between two pies. Back of the Packers, Winderlich. Quick handball to Hocking. Back to Lovett Murray. He goes short. It's a mark to Zaharakis. Zaharakis has kicked the goal. The Bombers are in front of the G.
You are now listening to the Molten Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Good afternoon, everyone. What an exciting afternoon this is to go live. It is Gather Round, and you can see I'm sitting in a much better seat because I am live at the Adelaide Oval Hotel, 2 steps away from the Adelaide Oval right there, and I can't wait. Now, our studio looks a little bit different today. Sitting over here is my mate, Jake Skidmore. How are you, Skiddy?
G'day, Robbie. How are you, mate? Yeah.
Good.
I'm down here in Melbourne, mate. How is it in Adelaide?
Mate, it is beautiful. And I know rain is coming this weekend, but it is beautiful tonight and it is set up for a fantastic match between Adelaide and the Blue Baggers to kick things off. To everybody listening to us live, welcome. Put your comments in. We only have a little bit of time for today's podcast. Now, it's going to be a little bit odd because I'm not going to fully introduce Jake. It's going to seem weird, but Jake is actually going to drop in our next podcast that's about to drop pretty much straight after this one. We had a fantastic hour and a half chat. Me, the big horse, Mickey Dell, and Jake last night, even though the pod is changing. So if anyone hears us refer to last night, that is what we're talking about. So a few things a little bit backwards today, but me and Mickey Dell had a really good chat today. We wanted to make sure we still did this live before the round episode to bring you guys all the content, answer all your questions, because I know my head is absolutely ringing with what to do with trade. So Mickey Dell is busy at work today. He sends his apologies, but we couldn't ask for a better man than Jake Skidmore sitting next to me, who had a top 1% score last week with his team. So get the questions in there. We're going to dive straight in. My father is en route to the hotel right now, so he could walk in that door anytime and absolutely blow this whole thing up. But that is what the Molten Fantasy Sport Podcast is all about. Raw truth and just answering anything and everything that we can. So let's dive in, Skiddy. Have you decided on your trades for this week just yet?
Yes, I have, Robbie. And just so everyone knows, no, I'm not replacing Mickey Dell. I would never do that to you all.
You miss him already.
Could not do that to the Molten Fantasy Sports Podcast. I'm just filling in for today, so hope you all enjoy. So yes, Rob, I have made my decisions. I've locked them in. As we all know, last night I got rid of Warple. Hopper's in. I'm liking what Hopper's going to bring. I'm hoping he's going to go, he's had a couple of iffy scores, but, he's figuring his way out at Richmond. I reckon he's ready to go. And I know we've had a lot of talk about it. I'm going the big Roo. Van Ruin is in. Davey's out. He gave me a nice, what do we have? 67,000 now. So no more donuts. We've got 67,000 in the bank and Roo in, and hopefully he can bump us up and have a good game and get us up. How about yourself? I'm interested to know what have you done?
Yeah, mate. I think I've sent everybody about 42 snapshots today of the possibilities of what I'm going to do. I had a great chat with Mickey Dell just before, and he's just bringing me down a little bit of a peg just to slow down a little bit. It's why we love the great man. He keeps us in check. The only definite I'm doing at the moment is, because it needs to be done for tonight, is Doherty is going straight to Dawson. And there's a good chance I throw the VC on him. I'm possibly maybe going to hold out with the VC and use it a little bit later. So that is a lock. There's a good chance I might get rid of Orland finally as a bit of a dead rookie. I really was hoping he might get into that third game and get some cash and bring in the J Van Roo. But I need to see what happens with Day's suspension, whether that comes down. There's a lot of things to play out, and obviously we still need to see the final teams. Let's go to some of the questions. Really great one in here from BKP. BKP 130. Let's put that up on the screen. Lads, ranked in the top 1%. First and foremost, congratulations. Great spot to be. We had the big Trenner on before who was in the top 1%, and I know he wants to get himself back there. With the mighty Thurgood Dreads, What do I do with Wits? Got Moyle in last week. Do I trade Wits and use the cash again? So, obviously, Wits has been declared that he is not playing again this week. Moyle putting up a 67, which wasn't a bad little effort. So, hopefully, again, you get those 3 games from him to get the cash. I wouldn't be trading him. I think Wits is coming back next week. You're in that top 1%. I know you want to stay there. I guess it also comes a little bit down to how many trades you've already used at the same time. The other question I'll ask is, who's your other ruck? Is it a chance to bring in English? Maybe do you make that move now? But look, I would tend to think Wits is coming back. You've done well so far. They're playing Freo, so Moyle might have a tough task against Darcy, and we talked about him using the C. So, look, it's a really tough call, and I know you want to stay there, but I tend to think Wits is coming back next week. You're already going to get a decent score with Moyle with Wits not playing, and he's just written his other ruck is English. So, mate, I'd leave it. I think you've got the best combo going around. If it was Marshall, maybe you look to make the move, but I reckon hold on to the Wits and Darcy, Wits and English, and then hopefully Wits comes back next week. Your thoughts, Skiddy?
I absolutely agree there. I mean, if you got Moyle sitting in there, I mean, the same kind, like they had St Kilda last week against Royal Marshall, and it's going to be kind of the same going against Jackson and also Darcy. So I wasn't expecting massive numbers from him, but he's still going to do what he's going to do. So, and if Wits is only 1 week away, no dramas there, letting him sit, like that's fine. You may cop a little bit less this week, but doesn't really matter in the end, does it? I mean, it's for the longer term, for the long haul, it's the right call to keep him in your team.
Yeah, I reckon sometimes you're just going to make that tough call, and I think that's the right one this week, especially if he looks like he's coming back. Kanga Jacob, I'll get to your question in 1 second. BKP 130, you're more than welcome, mate. Appreciate the response, lads. One of the best podcasts going around. I will send you that $50 later. I don't even know who you are, but, mate, I love that, and I appreciate it. Keep bringing in the questions. We'll keep bringing you the answers, and, mate, hopefully we get them right more than 50% of the time. That's what we'll see that we can do. Thanks, BKP. All the best this weekend, mate. So I'll get to Kanga Jacob in 1 second. We do have to put up Ryan Hammond, a great listener of the show. We do love his questions as well. Hardest question going around. We've got to get a bit of banter on the show. Would you rather Skiddy's beards or Rob's luscious looks? Mate, I'm taking the luscious looks. Thank you very much. If I could grow a beard like that, I guarantee you I would give it a crack. But some people just can't, and that is me.
Look, if the question was, is it Rob's luscious looks? I'd take Rob's luscious looks in a heartbeat. But he said locks.
Oh, so, mate, I'm reading what I want to read, mate.
Cheers. Did you bring the wrong pair of glasses to Adelaide, mate? Bloody hell. Or you had a couple already?
Yeah, but absolutely I have. Don't you worry about that, mate. Luscious locks. Yeah, thanks, mate. I've got the hair. Mate, you got a decent head of hair, don't you, mate? Are you losing your hair?
No, not at all.
No, you got a great head of hair. Yeah, you could. See, so you know what? My answer then is I take Skiddy's beard because Skiddy could grow the longer hair if he wanted to. I don't even have a choice, so I'm stuck. So look, it is what it is. It is what it is. Great question. Kanga Jacob, good question. Hey guys, which of these do you prefer? Doherty to Dawson and Filippo to J. Van or Doherty to Stewart, Davey to J. Van Roo? We had great question. And this is great because we actually talked about this in the last pod and it's going to come. So you're going to get the shortened version right here. And Skiddy, I'm going to put it to you because you're the one that is pretty much doing the second part of this. So where's your thoughts out there?
Yeah, somewhat. So mine's Davey to JVR and then with Warple to Hopper. I know we had a big discussion on it last night. Doc obviously has to come out. If you're going to pick between Dawson and Stewart, I know Dawson's more expensive, but geez, he's looking so good. He's the catalyst for Adelaide's defense. He's just looking like such a good mover of the football. And as I said, I don't care if they're playing Carlton. I just think Dawson's going to do this and he's going to look sensational doing it, game in, game out. He's looking very, very good. Filippo, I'm more than happy to keep for a little bit more. Just to see how he goes. But if Membry's coming back, I can see how you're getting worried about it, how his role's going to look. So Filippo is the one that I kept over Davey because Davey's got the injury worries. So if it was Davey and Doherty to Dawson and JVR, that's the move I'd be making personally. But I can see if you want to go Filippo and if maybe it's a cash kind of thing. So If you want to go Tommy
I think when I've had a closer look at it now, I think clearly it's got to be a cash thing for why he'd make the Davey call. Now, we talked about Davey being the better option to maybe get rid of for JVR due to he might be a bit banged up. Big Horse broke that he may not even play this week as well because he's a little bit banged up. So obviously it's a money thing. I'm going to say the top one then. I'm going to say Doherty to Dawson because I think that's the better move than Doherty to Stewart just yet. And therefore Filippo to JVR2. And Davey's going to come back in at some point. He's got a much better break even than Filippo at the moment. So, but I look more at right now, it's about those primo moves and those on your field. So for me, I'd pick number one. That's the direction that I would go. NJB, Nathy Brown, thoughts on Haynes as a downgrade from Ridley? Like we've talked a little bit about Haynes on this show, on this podcast. Yeah. Haynes is back to that all-Australian type performance. He's starting to show a little bit of consistency in that role and playing the way that we know he can. It's not a bad move. I would suggest, are you doing that move to be able to then be able to do something else is what I would be asking, or rather whether you're just doing it for cash. If you're doing it just for cash, it seems a bit of a slight burn from a trade, but Redmond has shown that he's now sort of taking that bit of a role from Ridley. So it's not a bad move. The old Redmond celebration. What's your thoughts on Haynes? I know you have some slight concerns, especially with what might happen at GWS.
Yeah, correct. If it's for the longer haul of it, I'm very worried about how Ridley's going. Like not from a football perspective, because he's obviously still as good as he always has been. It's just that Redmond is now doing what he was doing last year, and now that's what Redmond's role is now. So with Haynes, I'm loving what Haynes is doing as well. But yes, I am worried about how GWS are going to formulate their back line when Phil Davis comes back. And I know people have said that, maybe they just won't play Phil Davis. Phil Davis is the heart and soul that's always been there at GWS, former captain. They're gonna play him if he reckons he can play. So if he thinks it's best for the team. So I believe that. Yeah, I'm a little worried about Haynes' long haul. I mean, yeah, he might do well now. Davis is still 2-3 weeks away. So if you're doing it for short to try and get a money grab, I don't know what's Haynes' break even at the current.
It's definitely dropped down a bit. I'll find it in a little bit, but he's come down. He's in a good spot to make cash again this week. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. We don't shy away from any comments on this show. So Jayden Brown, apologies for which one of us talks a little bit shit. Is that one of your mates? Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'd be on me. I appreciate that, Brownie. And that's coming from him, and that's a genuine talker. So appreciate that, Brown.
We don't shy away though. I'll put this one up as well. Hold on. No, you must be getting another bloke though. Getting him into cash. A Sam Pope, best looking man I've seen on screen in a long time, which is definitely to you because I understand why people mistake Jake for Chris Hemsworth. It's phenomenal. Love this.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sam. I appreciate that. Two of the boys have come in here, and Sam, being the good man that he is, that he's always been, comes in here and, gives me positive reinforcement, and Brandy comes in talking dribble. So love that from the boys. That's always fantastic.
Absolutely. So speaking about Haynes, I want to, Mickey Dell gave me his moves this week. So these are the ones that everybody definitely wants to listen to. So he's used his boost this week. He has moved on Setterfield, Doherty and McKenzie. He definitely thinks, the McKenzie's not seeing the CBAs like he used to, so he thinks it's time to make a move. He's bringing in Stewart, Haynes, and Van Ruin. So he's making the cash move with Van Ruin, and Dell loves an intercept marker, so he's very much the Tom Stewart, the Haynes, and the performance they're doing. I'm kind of slightly the other way. I like those who rack up the disposals, so I feel more comfortable with your Dawsons, your Dacos, your even like a Mitch Duncan, but I want to see Mitch Duncan go one more week to sort of see what happens there. I always feel a bit more confident that way, which leads into he's putting the VC on Darcy to go against Gold Coast without Wits, and he's putting and then that might lead into the captaincy on Oliver, which leads us to ask you, have you had a look at where you might be sticking your VC and C this week, mate?
Mine has gone back and forth this whole time, especially from the podcast as well. I've originally got it on Rowan Marshall for the captain slot. Mick's been talking a big one about Dacos, and I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. And my vice, I think you've talked me into the vice being on Cripper tonight. I think it's going to be a big game. It's going to be a big game feel type of game as well. And that's where Cripper really shows his stuff. When you said as well, he plays better with Walsh in the side. I'm thinking, okay, Cripper got I think it was a 114 last week. So if he can get anywhere a little bit up from that, the only thing is I'm not sure where else I'm going to go with it.
I feel that.
Yeah, if it's not Cripper, my heart is telling me LDU, my boy. But yeah, and then also I'm thinking Clary as well when he goes up against the Bombers. So because we know that Clary can get some big scores against the Bombers from his previous outings. Absolutely. So it's between those, and I know it's going to come down to a crunch decision because I need to make it tonight when Crip plays. Yep. All I'm saying is if you've got Dawson in your team, I don't, unfortunately. I've made other pathways. But I'd be seriously having the VC on Dawson tonight.
So can we answer that? Because that's where my head's at. I've got Dawson and Laird, right? Now, I go and have a look at both their numbers. I do get a little worried about Ed Curnow. I do really like the conditions today for Dawson to have a big one. But when you still look at his numbers, right, out of the 4 rounds he's played, if he was my VC, I wouldn't have kept his numbers on any of them except last week. So he's gone 97, 110, 114. Then he's had his big 173, which I love and I like and I get all excited about. But if I think about that, there's 25% of his games would be the only ones that I would take the VC if I had him. So there's a part of me that's starting to think, do I go to Tim English a little bit later just because of the numbers that he's been putting up, or a Libba if it's been raining, because it might rain here Saturday night. And then I can put the C on Rowan Marshall in the last game against Collingwood without a ruck. Now, he was due for a big score before he got subbed. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why. I just feel a bit safer with that rather than unsure with what Dawson's going to do. Does he replicate that game again, or does him and Laird, one of them, get a bit of attention? I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, that Curnow point is a real good one as well, that he could go to a tag on Dawson. Very interesting point. I've actually had a mate as well tell me today that there could be a bit of George Hewitt swinging into defence and play the dock role.
Yep.
Not sure how reliable that is, seeing as Carlton haven't said anything about it. But if it, I'd love to see it if it does happen. And I'm also, I'm with you on the Marshall one. I feel very content and very safe in if I do put it on Marshall. That's where I have it right now. But because seeing what happened with Brisbane last week against Collingwood, Oscar McInerney looked great. And you don't really say that very often. And then you think about what Marshall can do. I mean, he could really do some damage there. I don't think Collingwood's game plan is going to be the same as what they're going in for. They may, Frampton may have to do a lot more than when they were doing with Ash Johnson. So, I'd feel very comfortable with having it on Marshall. And, that vice is still going to be up in the air, whether it's going to be Cripps, LDU. Yeah, I'm not sold on that yet. I'm going to
LDU versus Brisbane's not a bad shout. Adelaide Hills, be aware. I think the rain's not meant to come until the evening, so it should be clear. Obviously, a bit of a different ground, so does it hold up and give him the way that he wants it to be? Dacos. I mean, we've had a good question there from Nath, which is is Dacos copying the tag? I guess this is the $1 million question. 1, is he copying the tag? 2, does it matter with the way that he's playing anyway when he sort of cops a bit of a tag? For me, it's just St Kilda's defensive setup at the moment is so good that if there was a week for me to actually be probably the most hesitant that I've ever been, it was this week and week 2 when it was like, surely someone's going to tag him after the week 1 that he had. But look, Dacos keeps on keeping on. At a certain point, there's like, do you put the bloody VC on Sheasel? Like, do you know what I mean? The games that he's playing as well. So I don't know if Dacos cops a hard tag, but what I do know is they'll be playing against Ross Lyon's defensive structure, but that might allow them to chip a little bit more around the back line. Ross might have no problem with them chipping around their back line. It's all about stopping them getting across halfway. So maybe Dacos racks up a heap of points.
That's a very good point. It can go with Ross. It can go anyway. He doesn't have. He just does what he wants to do and what he thinks is going to win games, and it's paying off. So he can. It could be a real head scratcher, and that's why this game is going to be one of the games of the round, because this can go anywhere. Like It's going to be a fantastic game of footy. I'm just saying as well, I would steer clear of Shees as that VC role. Yeah. I know I love him more. I love him. But with that small ground, it's going to be hard to do that chip around kind of stuff that North like to do. Brisbane are going to, it's going to be it seems it's going to be a small ground. We're not going to be able to get the same, the same movement as we'd like as we do at Marvel, because it seems it's even smaller than Marvel. Like, yeah, it's
a really good shout. I think speaking of, I think Damien Carroll, I was actually about to mention you, Damo. He's just put in there, speaking of tag me in, boys. He is one who has talked about possibly, Adam Chera maybe possibly getting the Doherty type role, which I'd actually love to see Chera get that type of role. He's an elite kick. He is an elite kick. I don't love him as a player, but he's an elite kick. And I talked to my Freo mate a lot when he was playing at Freo and said, they're going to find a way to get the ball in this guy's hands a bit more, because when he kicks it, he's elite. So if he kind of gets off and plays a bit more in that around the back, or plays a bit different in that role, I'd love to see him do it. And I actually think he could do some great things for Carlton. So, I'd love to see it. So, yeah.
We can sit here as well and we can, theorize that it could be Chera, it could be Hewitt. But, is it just going to be Nick Newman? Are they just going to do the obvious thing and then just try and make him do more than what Doherty does since he's already down there? I'm not 100% sold. I want to see what happens. I'm very intrigued on this game tonight.
Yep.
But I want to see where the Magnets move. I'm keen to see what Vossi does, but he's the captain of the best team in AFL history, so
yeah, beautiful. Look, I've got to wrap this up very soon. I've been given the shovel on my old man that he'd love to get up, but there's one more great question here. CMVC combinations. He's got a few different players in here, Kanga Jacob. So Laird, Clary, Dacos, Bont, and English. I'm just having a look at the order of the matches. For me, as long as you've got the loophole, I'm assuming and hoping being Madden, that would mean that you have the ability to put the VC on Clary. You could even go a VC on Clary before you start looking at your Dacos, your Bont, or your English either to be the backup. So, mate, if you've got the ability to throw a VC on Clary against the Bombers at the Adelaide Oval, I'm taking that every day of the week.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, definitely on Clary there before. Yeah, and it's going to be a very quick one as well, because I'm pretty sure it's just straight after the other.
Yep.
So he's going to have to be watching very intently on that Demons game.
Yeah, 3:40 Adelaide. 3:40 Adelaide time into a 7:20. So you'd have enough time. Oh, they're straight after each other. That's the one where I'm intrigued to see whether they kick us out of the Oval and they send us back in, or whether we get to sit there all night. So you got a little bit of time there. So I think it's a good call. But he's just let us know that he has Madden. So I'd be VCing Clary 100%. That's what I'd be going for.
Are you there? Are you going to be there for the Bombers game?
Say that again, mate.
Are you going to be there for the Bombers Melbourne game?
I'm there for all Adelaide Oval games, mate. I'm 100% there. Other than maybe West Coast v Geelong, I think I might go have a bottomless brunch, mate. I might go. That sounds like a better option, I reckon. Just quietly.
I'm not blame you, mate. That sounds pretty good.
Two teams that I probably dislike the most, and I definitely just don't want to see them just a flog session from Geelong. If I knew it was going to be a close one, then I'd probably go out and see it. But Carly Whitaker has put up Brayshaw versus the Suns. Look, if I'm picking someone against the Suns, it's Darcy. I think Darcy, without Witts playing, to go up against that Moyle, I think Darcy's a safer bet. There's too many confusions going on at Freo at the moment. They're going to be focusing on a win and not worrying so much. Well, not that they worry about Supercoach points, but they're going to be focusing on the win. I think the one guy that will play his role the best will be Darcy, and I think he needs to be an absolute man mountain to dominate them. So I'm backing them in. I know you boys had a bit of a go with the Suns, I think, but I expect Freo to win and win big, because they're going to get their season on track.
Yeah, I can respect it, but I'm going Suns. I think the bigger bodies in there, they're going to have their way. I mean, Brayshaw's had an okay start of the year. He's been up and down here and there. I mean, it's just seeming like Sarong's just taken over, really. He's been looking sensational. But, I'm very much looking forward to that game purely because I want to watch what Noah Anderson does. I think he's on my list. He's on my watch. I love watching him play footy as well. So, I think he could go big if anyone's got him. If they're ballsy enough to have him in their team.
Mate, that's some serious peanuts. That's some serious peanuts. We've got it. We have to put this up. Mick Delaney has jumped on. I know you're working hard, Mick, so it's good to see your comment. Everybody is getting around Jake Skidmore and his good looks, mate. So, Del, you've got the comments in you, the stats man, but to get this spot back, maybe we've got to both grow a bit of a luscious beard and see what we can do, mate, to make sure we keep the looks where they need to be.
I don't know what this is coming from. I mean,
you don't really know what to say to it, do you? I love you. I love that about you. It's great.
What am I to say to that? You're the pretty one. I'm coming in here getting all these compliments.
Mate, just absolutely embrace it. Absolutely embrace it. It is a great community. Me and Mickey Dell talk heavily about how much we love our community, how we love our followers, the people that get on board. That being said, guys, we're going to look to wrap this one up now. I'm going to start to go and get on a couple of whiskeys with my father, who I haven't seen for a while. We're really looking forward to getting into this weekend. Good chance I might jump on at another point. We'll see how we go. I'll talk to Mickey Dell. Skiddy, cheers for joining us, mate. Do you have any final words before? I must say, we are about to drop your podcast pretty much straight after this one as well. So that might be one for the weekend for people to listen to. It was a great chat with you. Any final words before we sign out of this one, mate?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me first and foremost. My first live stream, so I hope everyone here enjoyed it. Make sure you give a lot of love to these guys here. Click subscribe and all that, and follow them and all the different stuff they're doing. It's just sensational what they're doing, and to be here from the start and to see how you guys are going now, it's fantastic. I think you're almost at 500 followers on Twitter or something like that.
We've got our 400 subscribers. Mate, look at you. You're a radio man in waiting. I love it. Other than mentioning the standard squeeze and snap fitness in Epsom Bendigo, you've just absolutely nailed it. I tell you what, I've got to watch out for my job because it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Mate, we love having you along. We'll probably get a few more of the mates on, but it's great to know that you can jump on at any point, give your insights. To everyone who's been answering and asking questions, thank you so much. This kind of stuff doesn't happen without you. Click subscribe. We are over 400 subscribers. Make sure you get around the footy. Strap in, guys. This has been the Molten Fantasy Sport Podcast. Peace out.